November 6, 2013. Guys, if you got small children in the room or members of the Comet ISON observing group, you may want to close their eyes or make them go in the other room and play, because I want to show you some real images of ISON. Here, I have it extremely zoomed up. I'm using the most minimal light I can capture from the sun without making this entire V section turn into a white blur. Now, if I go any dimmer, it will go completely dark, but you can see the outline of the objects in this center section. This small visible in the purple section of that V is 5 million miles wide. It is extended out, and I'm going to show you newer images. Guys, nobody has seen these yet. Also, the models had projected this thing to be moving at about 2 million miles per day by now, but it's still holding just under 300 million miles. And it looks like it's going to, the point of the V that you're looking at would be over Earth, 41 million miles, just the point, on the 26th instead of the 28th. I may be wrong on that. We'll see. I think it's coming a little faster coming back. But this tail extends up, guys. I would estimate it to be 20 million miles minimum in both directions. Now, it may be wider. If you'll check this image out very closely, you can see how wide the V is. Now, the visible section of that V is just where they're clustered enough to where I can get enough sunlight and the larger objects there. But if you go out of this tail, there are objects in this wide V pattern. Again, I think we've got a minimum of 20 million miles spread both directions from the V. Remember, it's scheduled to be 41 million miles above the Earth. It is still spreading. We don't know if we're going to get impacted by it or not, but I'm watching it. You can check that out. Again, if I go any brighter than this, you can't see anything, but it's starting to make out some objects. Now, in the very back, those are not objects from ISON there. That is a solar flare picking up that light, and that light is reflecting and giving me this much glare on ISON. Now, we may not have many more images like this unless we can catch it as a solar flare is passing it and illuminates those dark rocks. We're dealing with just big, large asteroids at this point. Meteorites. And the dark section there, it's showing up on all the images. It could just be a shadowing effect, but you can't see really what's right behind there, is my point. But this thing spreads for millions of miles, guys. It's continued to spread. And if anybody tells you this is a dust vapor trail going out into space, you know who you're dealing with right away. They do not have their facts straight, or either they're deceiving you. And we have those people out there right now. Some are honest investigators looking at this, but there's so many shields now, it's pathetic, both on this and other major concerns in these end times. They're really out in numbers. But I'm going to pull this up and down, guys. This, again, you're getting a slight shadowing effect from that solar flare. And again, that's why I was able to capture this. All of them, it seems to have either a lead object or almost, it looks like the central, what would be called the parent object of this V cloud would have some forward jetting. I don't know if that's possible or not, but it almost appears that way in the very front of this. It could be just a very small object in the lead. But when I say small, guys, the elongated object that may be could be hundreds of miles long. That was the largest one. But these things are rotating and tilting. In the last one I showed you, we had a long object. Now that object appears to be turned up. Now they look like squares here because I've pixelated this thing up to about 2,000. But they're not little squares, guys, and it's just where the light's coming through. But you can see the clumps and the edges of this where we have that debris. And if you look at some of my other videos where we had good light, you can see the individual objects very clearly. But look, coming down in the spread of this tail, guys. And remember, if we can only see objects that are possibly up to 100 miles wide, and I guarantee you some of these are, imagine the ones that are 50 meters or a quarter mile that can do what the Behringer crater, the comet did to the Behringer crater there, guys. So it doesn't take these huge ones in this upper V. But again, I'm not saying it's going to hit the Earth. I'm saying this is what's coming at Earth, and I'm watching it. The sun is also getting kind of crazy. I don't know if it's about to do its pole reversal from the north, but again, here's another picture of ISON. I'm trying to get it down to where I can see inside it. That's my whole objective. And here I've got it in this filter to where you can almost see objects in the shadow in the back of the V, and further back, probably about 1,000,000 miles behind the tip of that V, is another black rock. And usually these asteroids won't reflect light, but we're kind of dealing with a explosion of rocks here. That again, we're picking up the solar flare. Beautiful images. Actually, they're some of my favorite since I've seen ISON, because we're getting the first images of a full V spread like that, guys. It's amazing. Now, this is the sun yesterday and today. We've got filament eruptions across the top. This new sunspot in the 1900 series here coming around on the left is intense. I'm talking about, and all the sunspots are migrating to the south. That's giving you an indicator that we're getting ready for that magnetic pole reversal. But look at that river of fire there, guys. And this camera just cuts off the edges. Remember, you don't have that wide view from here. Nothing is classified as triple configurated on the sunspot summary today. It's all alpha, beta, but that can change quickly, and it does not take an X-flare. But guys, that filament that releases from the top of the sun, as you see that, was very strong. It's not on the flare tracker yet. It looks like it would go over the Earth. It's definitely Earth facing, and if you notice, there's a ripple effect where we had a hider flare in the center. It's a heads up, guys. Be safe.